Warm welcome back again to the class of biology, and we were talking about phylum chordata in the previous class, and we had discussed phylum Hemichordata, then we talked about chordata, and then we had talked about the three subphylums, that is Urochordata, Cephalochordata and subphylum Vertebrata, right? And then we discussed that the subphylum Vertebrata is divided into two groups: Agnatha, organisms that do not bear true jaws, and Gnastostomata, which bears true jaws, right? So we will just quickly go through the characteristics of subphylum Vertebrata. We said that a notochord is present at some stage during the life cycle or the development, and later it is replaced by the vertebral column, right? So vertebrata means the presence of the vertebral column, right? That is the backbone. Then all the vertebrates, they have two pairs of appendages. So the appendages may be fins or they may be limbs. Now depending upon the appendage as fins or limbs, again there is further division. Then the nerve cord is enclosed inside the vertebral column, and the brain is lodged in the cartilaginous bony cranium, right? Then we talked about Agnatha and Gnastostomata. Now this classification is based on the persistence of notochord, presence or absence of true jaws, absence of paired appendages, and presence of only two semicircular canal in the internal ear, right? So Agnatha has two semicircular canals and Gnastostomata has three semicircular canals, right? Okay, now we have already discussed the characteristics of group Agnatha and group Gnastostomata, and we move on to the superclass Pisces, which includes fish, right? So superclass Pisces also we did last time, but I'll just repeat it again. Superclass Pisces, right? And under superclass Pisces, all the fish are included in superclass Pisces. So the general characteristics of this class are that they are exclusively aquatic, right? That means they are not found on land. They may be in fresh water, they may be found in fresh water or in marine water. So they are aquatic, right? Then we discussed that since they are found in water, they respire by gills, right? So respiration by gills, right? Then we discussed that their body is moist and it has scales present, right? So body is moist and scales are present over the body, right? Then they have paired fins, right? Paired appendages. If you remember, we talked in the general characteristics of subphylum Vertebrata. Paired appendages could be paired fins or paired limbs. So fish have paired fins, right? So that is the paired appendage. Then if you look at the shape of the fish, right? That shape is called is said to be a streamlined body, right? So it's broader in the center and narrower at the ends. So they possess a streamlined body suitable for aquatic life, right? Then other than that, they contain two-chambered heart, right? They contain two-chambered heart, one auricle and one ventricle, but only venous blood passes through the heart, right? Venous veins. Now, the superclass Pisces is again divided into two major classes, right? So, you studied about cartilaginous fish and bony fish, right? So they belong to two different classes, right? So we will talk about the classification of for the classification of superclass Pisces, right? So as I told you, superclass Pisces is divided into two classes, Chondrichthyes and Osteichthyes. So Chondrichthyes, right? Chondrichthyes and Osteichthyes. Right. So Chondrichthyes is derived from the first half of the word, which means cartilage, right? So you can just remember that C is for cartilage, so C is Chondrichthyes. So all the cartilaginous fish belong to this group, right? So that means the endoskeleton is made up of cartilage, right? So they are cartilaginous, right? Endoskeleton is made up of cartilage. Then mouth is subterminal and situated on the ventral side. Mouth subterminal and ventral. Okay. Now mouth subterminal and ventral. Now for example, if this is the fish, right? This is the head region of the fish. The mouth is situated here below, right? So this is the ventral. You must have seen that there are some fish who have the mouth located right here, and then there are some fish which have the mouth located slightly below. So if the mouth is slightly below, we say that it is subterminal, right? Not terminal, not as at the edge, subterminal, little behind the end point, and ventral is the lower down surface, right? So that is the position of the mouth in all the cartilaginous fish, right? Now the tail is heterocircle, which means unequal lobes of tail fins are present, right? So unequal lobes of tail fins, right? Then the scales that are present on their body are known as placoid scales, right? Now these placoid scales and all, there's a specific design, right, of the scale, right? So accordingly they are named. So these are placoid scales on the body, and the gills have no operculum, right? So the gill slits are actually exposed. What is an operculum? Operculum is a kind of a covering over the gill, right? So there are some fish which have operculum present, and then there are some which do not have the operculum present, right? So there is, in general, most of the cartilaginous fish, they do not possess operculum, right? So no operculum, which means gill slits are exposed, right? Then the swim bladder in these fish are absent. Now when the swim bladder is absent, that buoyancy cannot be maintained, and there are chances that they may sink down in the water. That sinking can take place. So to avoid sinking, since they do not have the swim bladder, they have to swim actively throughout so that they do not drown, right? So the swim bladder is absent. Swim bladder is absent, right? So the examples are Scalodon, right? Scalodon is one example, which is also known as dogfish, right? Trigon or the stingray, right? So these are electric ray, that is also an example. So these are the few examples, and the rest you can learn from your book as well, right? We move on to the next class of Pisces, that is Osteichthyes, right? Again, the first half of the word means bones, right? So these are bony fish, so their endoskeleton is made up of bones, right? So they are bony fish. Then the mouth in these fish that belong to Osteichthyes is terminal, right at the edge, right, and anteriorly placed. So mouth is terminal and anteriorly placed, right? So anterior in position. Then the tail is homocircle. Again, here homocircle means the fins, the lobes of the fins are equal in size, right? So equal size. Here the unequal lobes of the tail fin, here equal lobes of the tail fin, right? Then the scales over here is placoid, and these have cycloid, ctenoid or ganoid scales, three different types of scales. So scales are cycloid, ctenoid and ganoid, right? Three different types of scales. Operculum is present, that means the gills are covered with operculum. Operculum is present in these fish, right? The lateral line system is present and it acts as sense organ. Lateral line system is a line that is present, right, which acts as the sense organ in these, right? So, and then of course the swim bladder is present. Swim bladder is present, right? So there are no chances for them to drown because the swim bladder maintains the buoyancy. Then I said the lateral line system is present. Line system is present and it acts as the sense organs, right? So all those who are fish eaters, right? So rohu you eat, right? All the fish eaters. So rohu is one example, right? Flying fish, seahorse, hippocampus, right? Seahorse is also an example of Osteichthyes, right? So all those who have aquarium in their house can can just look at the position of the mouth of the fish, and you can then identify whether the fish is it belongs to the class Chondrichthyes or whether it belongs to Osteichthyes, right? So that's about superclass Tetrapoda. And now we move on to the second superclass, right? If you remember when we talked about the appendages, right? So according to the appendages, the division is there of the superclass. That means if one superclass we talked about where the appendages are a pair of fins, right? Paired fins, right? The second superclass is where the appendages are paired limbs, right? So now we move on to the next one. And the next superclass is superclass Tetrapoda, and under superclass Tetrapoda we will study many classes under them. So superclass Tetrapoda, right? Let's see the how this Tetrapoda is divided. right? No, so now the members of superclass Tetrapoda are characterized by the presence of 4 limbs, F-O-U-R, 4 limbs, right? Tetra is 4, right? So 4 limbs, right? So that is why it is Tetrapoda, right? Now it has been divided into 4 classes: class Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves and Mammalia. So this we talked about yesterday also. I'll just write it here: class Amphibia, then comes class Reptilia, class Aves, and then class Mammals. I'm sure certain characteristics of these 4 classes all of you know, right? So superclass Tetrapoda. Why Tetrapoda? Why is this name given? Because they are characterized by the presence of 4 limbs, right? And this class is divided into class Amphibia, class Reptilia, class Aves and class Mammalia. So now we start with the first class, that is class Amphibia. Right now, if you will study just now the different characteristics of these phylums, you will see how they slowly are, these organisms, they get modified, right? And this is the reason why they are, this order of grouping is there, right? So we start with the first class, class Amphibia. Class Amphibia. Now these are the first vertebrates to leave water, right? First vertebrates. Up till the previous phylums and the groups, in fact, what you've studied, class Ostictis, Chondrichthyes, all these were found in water, right? Now what we see is that this is the first group of vertebrates to leave water, but they are adapted for both aquatic as well as terrestrial life. So that means they can, stay for some time in water also, and they can live on land, right? So that is why they are called amphibians, right? So they can stay on land as well as in water. So I'll just write here, they are the first vertebrates to leave water, right? And then they are adapted to aquatic as well as terrestrial life. Right, so both. Then there are 2 pairs of pentadactyl limbs and well developed girdles, right? Girdles, when we talk about girdles, pelvic girdle, pectoral girdle, right? So those are the girdle. 2 pairs of pentadactyl limbs, pentadactyl 5, right? So the heart is 2 pairs of pentadactyl limbs, right? Pentadactyl 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pentadactyl limbs, right? Then the heart is 3-chambered, and sinus venosus and truncus arteriosus are present. We won't go into the detail of that, but we must know that the heart is 3-chambered. So they have 3-chambered heart. RBCs are nucleated. RBCs are nucleated. What does it mean? That the RBCs contain nucleus, right? Now if we talk about ourselves, in our bodies the mature RBCs do not contain nucleus. So they have nucleated RBCs. Again they are cold blooded Another term for cold-blooded is poikilothermal. Poikilothermal, cold-blooded means they can change the body temperature as per the temperature of the environment, right? Now, since they are found in water, they can live in water and on land, and one of their, like if frog is one example, right, it undergoes metamorphosis. So one stage of life cycle is the fish like tadpole that stays in water only, right? So respiration is by skin, then they are found on land also, lungs and gills, right? So they are those which are purely aquatic, they respire by gills, right? Kidneys are present, sexes are separate, right? Sexes are separate, right? Fertilization is external, right, in water, right? So fertilization takes place in water. Fertilization is external, right? Where does it take? If it is external, means outside the body, then where outside the body? In water, right? So fertilization takes place in water, right? So they have, the development is indirect, so usually involving a tadpole larva stage, so that is they undergo metamorphosis also, right? So now the examples, as I told you, one example is frog, the other is toad, then one is salamander, right? So frog, toad, salamander, right? So these are the examples of animals that belong to class Amphibia, right? And now we move on to the next class, that is class Reptilia. So we will talk about all the reptiles, right? And I don't like the reptiles. I am sure even you must be scared of certain reptiles, right? So we will talk about the next class, that is class Reptilia, all the reptiles, crawling animals. All right. So they are truly successful terrestrial vertebrates, right? So they are terrestrial vertebrates, right? Skin is covered with dry scales, right? So if you look at the lizards which are found quite a lot these days, right? So skin is covered with dry scales. Skin covered with dry scales, right? Three-chambered heart. They have a three-chambered heart, and the ventricle is incompletely divided, right? But there's one exception, that is crocodile, which has a four-chambered heart, right? Only crocodile, which is an exception, has four-chambered heart, right? So they do have three-chambered heart, but the ventricle is incompletely divided, right? So internal fertilization takes place. So fertilization is internal, that means inside the body, right? And they lay eggs enclosed in calcareous shells. They lay eggs enclosed in calcareous shells, right? You must have seen the eggs of snakes, right? So a shell is there, right? So that is made up of calcium, so calcareous shell. of course, the examples now, if we talk about our turtle, right, snakes, I've been telling you, tortoise, chameleon, that is tree lizard, chameleon is there, right, chameleon is there, then garden lizard, crocodile, alligator, wall lizard, the poisonous snakes, right, all the different types of snakes, right. So snakes, wall lizard, the lizards that we find in the house, right, all these are examples of class Reptilia, right. Now we move on to the next class, right. So tortoise, alligator, crocodile, all these are examples, and now we move on to the next class, that is class aves, right. All the birds, they belong to this class. So the next is class aves. Right. So class aves, birds are glorified reptiles. Huxley, he has said, right, Huxley was a scientist and he said that birds are glorified reptiles because they're formed from reptiles, right. If you remember, we talked about the connecting link, and Archaeopteryx is one connecting link between reptiles and birds, because it contains certain characteristic features of reptiles and certain avian features as well, right. So that is why birds are glorified reptiles, right. So forelimbs of the birds are modified into wings, right. So forelimbs, the front one, right, these are our hands, are our forelimbs, right, forelimbs modified into wings, right. Then birds have feathers on their wings, so they have the presence of feathers are found on the wings or the body also of the birds, right. They are warm blooded, that means they are homeothermal and their body temperature does not change, it remains constant even whatever is the change of temperature in the environment, right. So they are warm blooded, right. Warm blooded means homeothermal, right. Then the bones, right, the bones of the birds are very light in weight because they are hollow, right, and they are filled with air, right. So they have hollow bones. Now this is one adaptation to the aerial mode of life, right. That is why they can fly. Had their bones been heavy, it would have been difficult for them to fly, right. So when we use the word hollow, we also say they are pneumatic bones, pneumatic filled with air, right, pneumatic bones. Then the skull is monocondylic single, right, skull monocondylic, a single structure, right. Jaws are replaced by toothless beaks, right. So that means the birds, they do not have teeth, right. So jaws are replaced by toothless beak, right. So all the birds have beak. Some of you must be having parrot as a pet at home, and so you must have seen the beak of the parrot, right. Then presence of crop for grinding the food. So there is a structure which is known as crop that helps in grinding the food. For grinding, we have teeth for grinding. For grinding food, they have a structure known as crop present, right. Rectum is absent in this class, right. Rectum is absent in them, right? Then the sternum, right? What is the sternum? Sternum is this bone over here in the center, right, of the vertebral column, right? The chest region, the central bone is the sternum. Now since they have to flap their wings, right, so the sternum has to be very strong. So the sternum bears a projection called keel for attachment of flight muscles, right? So special muscles for flight. So sternum has keel which is further attached to flight muscles, right? Then for the production of sound, right, in their trachea on the ventral side, the front side, they have an organ known as syrinx, right? So then they have syrinx to produce sound, right? On the ventral side of the trachea it is present. Heart is completely four-chambered. Heart is four-chambered, right? Completely, fully divided into 4 chambers, and the RBCs are nucleated. Nucleus is present in the RBCs of birds also, right? Only the left kidney and the left ureter is present, right? Only the left kidney they cannot afford because they have that flying mode of life. So only left kidney and left ureter is present, right? So left kidney and left ureter. Urinary bladder is absent, so they do not store urine, right? Urinary bladder is absent, right? So they do not store urine, right? Ovary and ovary duct only the left side, so that means they have only one ovary and one oviduct only, which is present on the left side, right? So that makes it lighter in weight. Eggs are enclosed within calcareous shell. Now eggs, many of us are vegetarians, so all of you must have seen the eggs. So eggs are the shell of the egg is calcareous, right? Birds, you must have seen all different types of birds: crow, pigeon, sparrow, parrot, ostrich, peacock, right? All these are examples of birds, right? Vulture. So everybody has seen birds, right? So with this we've completed the third class, that is aves, and now we move on to the last class of the subphylum Vertebrata, and that is class Mammalia. So now you'll be able to relate well, because class Mammalia, even we belong to class Mammalia. So class Mammalia, right? So the body of all the mammals is covered with hair, right? So even we have hair on our body. Body covered with hair, right? One feature. Then presence of mammary glands in all the mammals, right? There are sweat glands also present, sebaceous glands also present, but mammary gland, presence of mammary gland is a characteristic feature, right? So presence of mammary glands generally in females, right? Sweat glands, sweat and sebaceous oil secreting gland, right? All these are present. Then 7 cervical vertebrae. What is cervical region? This neck region, right? This is the cervical region. You must have heard of cervical spondylitis, lumbar spondylitis. Now cervical and lumbar are all related to the vertebra. So cervical are the bones of the vertebra that are present in the neck region. So we have 7 cervical vertebrae. 7 cervical vertebrae are present. Then okay, now we come to our teeth. Our teeth is thecodont and heterodont. Thecodont embedded in bony jaw sockets, right? If you see our tooth, the roots of the tooth are embedded deep inside in the bones, right? So our teeth is thecodont. Don't is a term related to teeth. Thecodont and heterodont. Hetero, different. We have, if we talk about ourselves, we have 4 different types of teeth: incisors, canines, premolars and molars. So that is heterodont, right? Then when we talk about the respiratory system, just below our lung there is a structure present which is known as diaphragm, which is a muscular structure, and it is in its original position, it is in the dome shaped position, right? So presence of diaphragm. Diaphragm is present. Anus and urinogenital openings are separate, right? Anus is the region from where the solid food matter is removed, right? Urinogenital region where the liquid waste is removed, right? Urine. Genital system are separate. Right. Sorry, we will not write here system, that is the opening. Right, both are separate. Then all the mammals are warm blooded or homeothermal. Right. Then heart is 4 chambered. So we have a 4 chambered heart present. RBCs are N-nucleated. There is no nucleus present in the mature RBCs, right? The immature RBCs do have the nucleus present, but a mature RBC does not have a nucleus present. So RBC N. Again here, this simply absence of nucleus we write enucleated. Enucleated, right? Then cerebral hemispheres interconnected. We have the left cerebral hemisphere and we have the right cerebral hemisphere, the left and the right regions of the brain, right? So the left and the right regions are connected together by a strip of a structure which is known as corpus callosum. You studied this even in class 10th, right? Corpus callosum. So the cerebral hemispheres are separated, or we can say connected, by corpus callosum, right? So corpus callosum is the structure which connects the two hemispheres, right? 4 optic lobes are present in the brain, right? 4 optic lobes are present. Then we see we all have this external ear present, right? So pinna, this external ear is known as pinna. So pinna is also present in all the mammals. Presence of scrotum and the urinogenital organ in male is there. Then fertilization in mammals is internal, right? So fertilization is internal, right? Other than that, Now if we talk about the classification of mammals, they are further classified. There are some egg laying mammals, right? So they are oviparous, then viviparous, giving birth to young ones, right? And then there are some which give birth to underdeveloped organisms, right? So accordingly then they are further classified. But for you we will stop here, and please go through the question answers, and most probably now in the next class onwards we will start with the revision right from the first lesson. And when we will revise, we will exclude the deleted portions of the revised syllabus that you've got. There are certain portions which are deleted, right? So the deleted portions will not be asked in the exam, right? So that is set by the board. So when we will revise, we will not revise the deleted portion, right? So that's all about for today. Complete your assignments.